Jonas Henkel from Marburg, and he will speak about an AI-assisted proof in spectral geometry.
Yes, so thank you very much for the introduction and for the opportunity to speak here. It's a big honor for me. So the talk is based on a joint project with Emilio Lauret, and it's about an AI-assisted discovery. And the talk mainly deals with a model which is quite heavy and quite big because it reasons most of the time autonomously. And the operator we are interested in is the Hodge-Laplacian, and in particular we're interested in its first eigenvalue. So the general framework we are working are closed Riemannian manifolds, meaning compact without boundary. And so the Hodge-Laplacian acts on p-forms on the space, and outside of locally symmetric spaces, almost explicit full Hodge spectra are very rare. So where p is not 0, so we don't have the Laplace-Beltrami operator acting on functions. And so we try to check the case of homogeneous 3 spheres. So any homogeneous metric on SU2 can be parameterized by 3 positive values, A, B, and C. And we try to tackle the question how the spectrum reflects the geometry and whether it uniquely determines the isometry class of SU2. And for functions, this is solved already. So we considered one forms because this is enough due to Hodge duality to investigate. Okay, and in such homogeneous situations, you use representation theory in order to exploit all the symmetries which occur. And then by the Peter-Weyl decomposition, the space of one forms on S3 decomposes into irreducible SU2 representations. Here K is just the highest weight of the irreducible representation. And in this case, the Hodge-Laplacian restricts to a finite dimensional anamorphism on each of those summits here. So it means that the Laplacian decomposes into a family of matrices which increase in dimension depending on the highest weight K. And just to give you an idea how the matrices looks like, here this is the smallest one, and they get bigger and bigger and bigger. And if you are interested in the spectrum, then you need to diagonalize all of them. And we were successful to do so in the case of Berger spheres. And it was interesting because the spectrum nicely reflects the bundle curvature of the Hopf vibration. The bottleneck is the case of general metrics, where A, B, and C differ from each other. And so in this situation, the Hodge, those matrices, they have more non-zero entries. And it's very difficult to compute the first eigenvalue already. We don't think that there exist closed formulas to give the whole spectrum, depending on A, B, and C. But already computing the global minimum is quite difficult. And then we use several methods, numerical methods and analytical methods to get an idea what the first candidate might be. And so with that, we had a really strong conjecture that the first eigenvalue is probably going to be the minimum among those 4 values here for an arbitrary homogeneous metric on SU2. And so this conjecture was quite plausible to us numerically, but we did not find a proof for this conjecture for over a year. And just before submitting our results to arXiv and to journal, we just gave it a final approach to use a frontier large language model. And that was our AI experiment. So the model took 100 minutes, and we gave only one prompt. And the model we used was ChatGPT 5.4 Pro, and it costs $200 per month. And the model description says that you have 15 prompts. only, and so we gave it our whole mathematical instructions, and then it took, as I said, 100 minutes, and it came up with a very elegant and flawless looking proof for this. And we were quite amazed, and we were able to prove from this that isospectrality indeed determines the isometry class. Okay, and so what did the AI do? It did not follow our representation theoretical approach, but first it defined the collaborator. So in this specific situation, considering one forms in dimension 3, the collaborator is a self-adjoint operator, and it squares on coexact forms with the Hodge Laplacian. And then it found a nice diagonal transformation G to relate the collaborator of the round metric to the collaborator of the homogeneous metric. And then it did some non-trivial estimates and used the first eigenvalue of the round sphere in order to establish a lower bound. Okay, so first we were like, okay, this is a nice proof. But then we were wondering, where did the AI got its idea from? And so we did a deep dive into the literature, and apparently Gibbons in the 80s already computed the spectrum of the collaborator on Berger's 3 spheres in a physics context. So physics paper calls spectral asymmetry and quantum field theory in curved space-time. Moreover, Capoferri and Vasiliev in 2023, they explicitly analyzed this collaborator spectrum on Berger's 3 spheres while they were studying eta invariance on 3 manifolds. So we guess that the model knew that the operator is being used in this situation a lot of times, and that the idea it presented to us as being very novel was not as novel and original as we thought. So, and on top of that, it didn't give us any source. They didn't cite any sources or explained how it derived this result. So what we did was we digged a bit deeper in order to truly understand what the model did and what the geometric idea was behind of this. So we had a look into the chain of thought log, and so we expected quite structures, conceptual idea of what it's trying to do next and what it's trying to do. But this log, it would contain always headlines on what it's doing next. It was really random and had all the different ideas which sometimes did not really relate. And we were really having a hard time to understand what the model tried to do. So here it said, I am looking at the JI matrices for the cross product to create a trigonal form. And okay, so a lot of pure trial and error. And we did not understand what JI is. And here a block diagonal structure is being developed to efficiently analyze the couples between variables, especially with Michelangelo. That was really strange. And the absurdest thing was when it was trying, I'm looking at the current discount offers to get an overview of the best options. And we were like, what did the model do? We did not understand at all the reasoning process behind this. So the chain of thought didn't give us any transparent reasoning process at all. And to us it appeared that it was performing a stochastic search among everything which looked similar to what it knew in order to find something which looks like a perfectly written proof. And so we still do not know which literatures and ideas actually contributed to the final result. We do not know. So what are the lessons we can learn from this example for pure for AI and pure math? Terence Tao said in the beginning of this year that AI tools are like taking a helicopter to drop you off at the site. You miss all the benefits of the journey itself. You just get right to the destination, which actually was only just a part of the value of solving these problems. And so I think his description pretty much applies to our situation. So the destination, we arrived there, we got a formally correct, perfectly written proof. The model was straight like that. But we missed the journey. We do not understand the motivation behind the operator, the transformation T. There was everything appearing pretty randomly to us. And so also, I think what is an even bigger problem is the chain of thought logs that they couldn't tell us at all how the model arrived at this kind of solution. And it was also, yeah, we could not tell whether just by reading its proof and the data it provided, if this was a new approach or something from the literature. So I think the conclusion could be that the correct output is not enough. In order to use such heavy large language models, we need complete transparency regarding the origin and the logic of its ideas. So on the one hand side, they have a very big potential, and we learned a lot from using them, as they can be good reasoning assistants. But in order to get away from just oracles, you can ask questions, and then you may get a correct answer. You don't get a correct answer, and then your job is to find why the argument doesn't work. We would need systems which actually capture in a good way the actual discovery process, which ensures that all the literature which is used is properly cited, and which explains the motivation behind the mathematical steps it takes. Okay, thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you. There are questions?
I'm totally ignorant with AI. That logs that you are referring to, can they be trusted? What if AI is deceiving you? It did something else and then throws those logs at you that are completely relevant to confuse you.
Sorry, I did not understand.
So the logs,
yes.
The trail of thought, or whatever the
yes.
logs were.
Yes.
So that was a lot of garbage there.
Yes.
Is this what AI really did, or maybe it did something else and is lying to you about what it did?
Well, I mean, those logs are meant for human beings to track the process of this reasoning process. So we get, but yeah, it just gives you the headlines of what it's actually doing. It does not provide all the details. It's just giving you those headlines. And yeah, so.
Maybe it's something interesting to do. Have you tried to rerun the same experiment?
To what? Sorry?
To rerun the same experiment. Ask the model again the same question. Will you get the same garbage?
Good question. No, we have not.
It's only 100 readings away.
But it would surprise me if the result was
no, but the train of thought, not the result itself, but like this sort of like logical things that you saw in the middle.
So
would you see them again if you rerun the same experiment?
I mean, I do not know because we did not do so, but I would guess. I would guess so that you end up with the same. No, not precisely the same. No, so sorry, but you will also end up with a chain of thoughts, which, with a very high probability, have different titles and different. And but I don't think that they are going to be more constructive. I do not see any reason. Maybe they are doing fine tuning of those models. But I do not know how fast this works, how fast they perform those fine-tuning.
I mean, this to me looks like a low-order effect. No, the main answer is to give you the proof, and that probably is you're going to get it. But the low order, maybe you get something else if you run the experiment again. But I think it may be interesting.
Yes.
To know what happens. As I said, it's only one click and 100 minutes away.
lot of them, but yeah.
So just to understand, you made a prompt and then it thought for 100 minutes and then that gives you the answer and also that single prompt also gives you the chain of thought that you can inspect as well. Is that
Yes, whenever you you send a request to such a reasoning model, it's going to produce an output and then put it back in again. And with it, this is like this chain of thought. And you get a protocol on what the process of those thoughts are. And yeah, but the final result is just the proof.
Yes.
And together with it, you can also you can export the chain of thought which led to this result.
And can you make further prompts to ask how it arrived at this and what sources it used? Is that useful at all, or is that does that just not give any more information to make a further prompt to try and get it to explain where its idea is?
Yes. So this is something. So basically, that's a good question. So basically, it's probably. I mean, we did not investigate this, but I don't think that it's going to give you a lot more than that.
So, okay, I suggest to postpone the questions to keep with the time. So let's thank Jonas again.